Good morning, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. I was just going over this Bloomberg article. Trump demands commitment from BRICS on using U.S. dollars. So when I think about some of the economic theories that we have covered here on this channel, Gresham's Law and Triffin's Dilemma, and then my own theory, credible threat theory, that I've developed over the last few years, it really tells a different story when it comes to some of the things that are being stated here on this article. So, number one, the credible threat theory. This is where they use their words through the mainstream media to impact the public's opinion of what it is that's coming to the future, and then have them begin to conduct themselves in a way that is then in accordance to what it is that they feel that the economy is needing. So basically, they just come out on the mainstream media and say, hey, we're going to do all this crazy stuff, or like tariffs, or, subsidies, or whatever it is that they're going to do. And it has this huge impact on what the market or what the people believe is actually coming to the markets. And then they start conducting themselves in a way that the powers that be out there who are delivering this message feel that they need for their fiscal policies or their monetary policies, depending on whether you're a banker or a politician. All right, so the credible threat theory, again, is them using their words to guide the markets. And this is what Donald Trump has to say, quoted in this Bloomberg article. The idea of the BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over. So like the idea that there is going to be a replacement for the dollar. Right? This is what Donald Trump is warning about. He goes on to say this: we require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty dollar. Now, when I think about Gresham's Law and I think about this statement, I think there's no way that they can come up with a dollar replacement. Like, this is not feasible through the idea of what it is that the United States is doing in conjunction with the Federal Reserve, and how it is that they provided the world with the liquidity that they need alongside the safe and liquid asset like the US Treasury. There's no other nation that can compete against that. There's no other nation that even comes close. Like, you have to understand that people don't trust the United States, but they trust the United States enough. And that's important to understand, that in order to have a safe and liquid asset like the U.S. Treasury, you have to believe that you're going to be paid back. Now, granted, a lot of people believe that they're going to get paid back in deflated dollars where it's going to be less valuable and their purchasing power will decrease. Okay, that might be true, very true, and I'm not trying to defend it or anything else. What I'm trying to say is that there's nothing else out there that's doing what the United States Treasury is doing, as being able to provide that safe and liquid asset. See, back in the day, it was gold. People used gold as the safe and liquid asset, but the gold was replaced by the U.S. dollar, and as much conspiracy theories that are behind it, regardless of what it is, the U.S. Treasury is the new gold. And it's important to understand it in that fashion, because in order to replace this U.S. Treasury, you would have to have another nation that has the trust of the world on a level that they trust the United States to pay back that debt. So are you going to trust Russia? Are you going to trust, China? You're going to trust this nation, this communist nation that has capital controls and very secretive, governments, and you're going to trust them to buy up their debt to the level that you would trust the United States? Probably not. There's no other nation out there that can do what the United States is doing. And now, when we take this thing back just a little ways to understand that Gresham's Law is going to kick in, it says that a good currency cannot replace a bad currency. See, people saying, well, they're going to go to gold. They're going to use gold or Bitcoin or something of that nature. And you cannot use a limited or commodity-based currency. See, the reason why is because it'll get hoarded away. If you introduce a good currency into a bad currency system where the bad currency is getting used, then the bad currency will chase the good out. You would just simply hoard the good currency away and use the bad currency. Let me give you an example of this. If you had a gold coin in one hand and cash in the other, and you came to me and you said, hey man, what do you got for sale? And I say, I got this computer right here for sale. And you're like, what do you accept? And I say, I accept whatever you want. All right? I'll accept the gold coin or I accept the cash. Which one do you want to hand me? Now, are you honestly going to hand me over that gold coin, or are you going to hand me the cash? You're going to hand the cash, and you're going to take that gold coin, and you're going to put it in your pocket. So you're going to hoard the gold coin and put the cash in the circulation. The cash itself, being the bad currency, is the one that chases out the good currency. Gresham noticed this a long time ago through coin clipping, like people clipping coins to save a little bit of the edge of the silver for themselves, and then putting the clipped coin into circulation, and then people hoarding the unclipped coins, and then there was less money out there to do circulation. And again, this was discovered literally hundreds of years ago. And so to understand that, introducing a currency into a system such as the one that we have today, you would have to have, one, a currency that is trading symbiotically with the dollar, right? Because if it's a good currency, you would hoard it, and if it's a bad currency, you wouldn't use it because we're already using a bad currency. This one would have to completely collapse or be traded one-to-one. And this is where I really believe like stable coins are coming in, and will eventually replace the dollar or the cash-based currency, the system that we have today. So again, credible threat theory, when we think about it, the idea of the BRICS countries, they're trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over. Yeah, good luck with it. You're not going to be able to do it. Like no other nation is really going to go into as deep a debt as the United States, and no other in the world isn't going to trust them to the level that they trust the United States. Other people might for a little bit, like for a few people, like a small portion of the population might do that, the global population might. But for the most part, nobody trusts any other nation to the level that they trust the United States. And the United States is the only nation that's gone deep enough into debt to provide the world with a safe and liquid asset like US Treasuries. No other nation wants to go that deep into debt, especially the BRICS nations. The BRICS nations all want to be producing nations, right? Because if you're a producing nation and you're a saving nation, you're going to be a strong economic nation. And that's what all these BRIC nations want to do. They want to be producer-savers. It's only the United States that's, gone to the position of wanting to be this, debtor nation, debtor consumer nation like we are. And that goes into the second part of this, right? Where it goes on to say, if they do this, right, if they attempt to replace the mighty dollar, they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful U.S. economy. Now, understanding that we are the world reserve currency, right? The United States dollar has the world reserve currency position, and that means that other nations out there are doing deals in dollars. They are writing like literally a nation that has nothing to do with the United States. Not our government, not our banking system, not our corporations, not our people, has nothing to do with the United States, is writing debts that are due in dollars, right? And they sell them to anybody out there in the world who's willing to pay for them. They pay those people in dollars. When those debts come due, they're due in dollars. That means those nations have to acquire dollars somehow in order to pay those debts. Now, to understand this is like very difficult for a lot of people to wrap their heads around, especially if you're new to economics. But to understand that this is a position that is now taking place, there's other economists. If you really want to know something about it, you're going to want to study the milkshake theory from Brent Johnson and Jeff Snyder in the I can't remember the name of his university talk paper. Anyway, I'll leave links down in the description for both of them. Jeff Snyder, you just Google his name, and Brent Johnson, milkshake theory, and you're going to find a lot of information that talks about this very thing and how it is that the dollar is not going to easily be replaced on a world scale, just simply by how huge, how vast in proportion that the United States dollar is being used to do these global transactions. And so to say, hey, we are not going to allow dollars to leave the United States by the purchasing of your stuff because of 100% tariff is literally going to choke the world off from dollars and actually deny the United States the ability to continue to enjoy the luxurious experience of having all the wonderful products that we do coming into the United States. It's literally like choking yourself off and cutting your nose off to spite your face. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. That's what's really would take place if you were to attempt to inflict 100% tariffs on these nations out there who import all their stuff so that we can export the dollars out there to meet the global demand for the U.S. dollars. See, this is part of the Federal Reserve's problems that they face out there. And so the idea is a complete credible threat. if you were to cut off the people from that kind of position, what we would do is we would slow the economy down in such vast proportions here in the United States that the pain that we would be felt from it would be more than we could handle. And I don't think that 100% tariffs is actually a reality to the situation when you consider what it is that we have in this nation as far as consumable items, as a consumer nation. Our position now here in the United States is to create a consumer so that we buy the world's stuff, and that world will then buy our US Treasury debt. It's the way the system, if it goes any other direction than that, it's pain and suffering and misery. So again, people taking the position off of this really have to understand how it is that this is going to go down from the underlying economic forces that are at play. You're simply not going to be able to introduce a new currency, and you're not going to be able to cut yourself off from the world and the purchasing of their stuff. All right. Uneducated Economist, you guys let me